silly question. So I noticed it was being videotaped tonight. Is that distributed? I mean, is that just...
I'm not videotaping it. I understand someone else is. Would anyone like to answer that question?
I'm going to put it on YouTube. Yeah.
Will you send us a...
It'll be on YouTube. You can just watch it on YouTube.
But will you send us a link and next door?
Oh, yeah, I'll put it on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Craig, could you announce to everybody that there is a sign-in sheet, so if they could sign it, so we can get an accurate count of who makes it, please?
Let's go like 3 more minutes if there are further housekeeping questions, because we've got a lot to get through tonight. But I do want to take housekeeping questions so that people have a chance.
I was going to say, to continue with Mark, that this can be helped used to look back and for people who did not show up today.
All right. So thank you all for coming out tonight. This is an important night for a lot of reasons. The front desk has been busily making copies of the packet that I gave them. I have about 20 in my hand here. They're bringing more. It's obvious there are more than 20 people here. I'm going to ask for one person to volunteer to be the handout coordinator.
Oh, why not?
You pick. Or Mr. James. Okay. All right. So you're it.
Yay.
Please ensure that as many of those get into as many hands as possible. Could I also please have a volunteer to keep track of people who have volunteered for things tonight? Christy O'Brien, please keep track of that. Thank you. We're going to have an open forum. Could I have a volunteer to be a moderator for the open forum? I see Amar. What does that mean, I hear? A moderator is someone who recognizes whose turn it is to speak. So when we're at open forum, please speak when the moderator recognizes you, and please be patient and respectful when the moderator is not recognizing you. Okay. Folks. Folks, it is time to get the Anatolia that we deserve and that we have all been paying for years. By a quick show of hands, who's lived here more than 5 years? Okay, hands down. More than 10 years? All right, so we got a lot of folks in the room who have been here a long time. Of all those people who have been here 10 years, how many of you would say your satisfaction level with our homeowners association is pretty darn good?
Not good.
I'm not seeing a single hand. Of those of you who have been here at least 5 years, we're opening up the window now. Anyone who's been here at least 5 years, how many of you would say that your satisfaction level with our homeowners association is pretty darn good? I'm looking, I'm not seeing a single hand. Folks, we've all been paying a lot of money for a lot of years. We are not satisfied. Things have to change. We're here tonight to talk about changes. There have been a lot of meetings, especially recently, that have been focusing a lot on the many problems that we have. Boy, howdy, do we have problems. Tonight, I would ask that we put our focus on what are we going to do about it. We can have lots of conversations about problems. I am not trying to push off conversations about problems. I've had many conversations about problems for many, many years. I would ask that tonight we talk about solutions. There will be small solutions, there will be medium-sized solutions, and there will be big solutions. The fact that you're here tonight suggests that you care about these solutions. Let's talk about these solutions. If there's anyone in the room who would like to talk a lot about problems, I appreciate and I respect your right to come and talk about what you would like to talk about. And I respectfully ask that you would allow us to quickly move past what you have to say about problems so that we can talk about solutions. I would really like us to leave here tonight feeling excited about the future of our association. We have a right to feel excited about our association. We pay every month. Some of us in the room pay extra every month for landscaping. We deserve service, we deserve results, and we deserve performance. Thank you. Is there anyone in the room who feels that we're kind of getting performance right now? Okay, I'm seeing a few mms and maybe one or two of these. Many of you probably know that we've just recently brought on board a new HOA management company. A tad more than 2 weeks ago. Much of the frustration that we carry into this room tonight comes from more than 2 weeks ago. I would like to start by acknowledging that we have people from a management company here tonight who have just started. The frustration that they will probably hear in the room tonight, let's be clear, should not be directed at the 2-week tenured management company. There is a lot of frustration in the room. Let's be sure that we address the issues that we have and get on to solutions. I promised we would start with open forum. Let's go to open forum. Who would like to speak? I see a hand. Oh, sorry, moderator.
Oh, okay. All right, go ahead. You raise your hands. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. I see many familiar faces in the room here. I think most of you know me. My name is Craig Osborne. I'm a home owner in Anatolia. I'm the original purchase of my house with my wife. We bought in 2006. We've been residents and owners here in Anatolia since then, raising our 4 children. 2 of them are now in college. The other 2 are still here. Is this a housekeeping question I see?
No, I was going to wait till you finish.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's me. Go for it. Oh, sure. This is Bruce Inman. He's the attorney for the Homeowners Association. And he represents all of us. He does not represent me as an individual. He doesn't represent any individual. He represents all of us. Any further intro that you'd like?
Just the corporation.
The corporation, right. Technically, I guess that's the corporation. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead. I can go first?
Here.
Yes.
What's your name and
Okay.
stuff?
My name is Greg Douglas. Everybody kind of knows me from the last couple of meetings we actually had in here, starting back on March 8th. What it is I was actually the chair for the Villas, which was located right over here, 99 homes, and there were some issues with those homes. Now, my presentation on the end of March 8th, I was supposed to address everybody in the committee and also the board, but also the homeowners, to bring them up to speed as to what's going on. Now, all of that got dropped because of what went on in March's 8th meeting. Now, I have 3 people that put permits out to have trees replaced and removed. Okay, now we got to put that on the back burner. And it's not fair to those homeowners that all of that got put onto the back burner. Okay, so I'd like to ask Craig, when are those things going to be addressed, and when can those homeowners get those trees replaced, and I present the rest of what I have to the board so I can be done with that. Because I have resigned my position as a chair of the committee for the villas and also as the inspection committee, which everybody in this room should know exactly what I did on those 2 different boards from the time of October of last year. So Craig, I would like to ask you that question. That's the first question I have. When can those homeowners understand and get results on their trees being removed?
You said that's your first question. Did you have more questions?
That's the first question. Would you like to answer that now, or do you need to answer it later?
My answer to your first question is, in the agenda, you see number 8, open, detailed meetings coming up over the next several weeks, open to all owners. On Clubhouse, on upholding our neighborhood standards, on financial management, and on other topics. We're going to be hitting a lot of really broad topics tonight. I would like to make sure that we have a meeting that's specifically focused on that, because that's an important issue that has been festering for years and it needs to be addressed. I completely agree with you. I don't have a complete answer for you right now.
And when is that date again?
I haven't given a date.
Okay, well, I need to hear something.
Can we get one?
Can we get one? Because I need to hear something before the next HOA meeting, because here's number 2. The inspection committee. Now, inspections were completely dropped because there was one individual that decided that inspections don't need to go on any longer because all of the fines were going into a pot and not actually being absorbed back into the HOA. So, and Craig can attest to this, he knows of it. The thing about the inspections is, Case is no longer the inspector here. So we hired somebody else to do the inspections. But as me supposed to be the chair of that inspection, I was never told that information. So, how do you allow me to do my job if you're going to go back behind me and do something else? And these are the other questions that I had. Why aren't inspections being done completely? And why wasn't that gentleman told that his job was in jeopardy, which he was supposed to carry over to consortium? But it didn't happen. He got let go. And he had to fend for himself. That's not right. Not right at all. You don't treat people that way. So, that's number 2. Bruce, this question is for you. Did you or did you not tell your board members not to post any questions, ideas, or comments on Nextdoor?
How do I answer that?
Do not use Nextdoor as a social media.
I don't represent the individuals, and so my general recommendation to all board members, all of my clients, is to steer clear of social media because of the potential ramifications. But I would not have directed anyone, and I have never directed anyone to cease and desist using social media. There are I think lots of reasons why the use of social media by a sitting board member creates a precarious situation for the association. But having said that, I can't cite to a legal basis to admonish them or direct them to terminate their use of social media.
Contracts. This is for you too.
A quick show of hands. Could anyone who has an open forum item raise your hand so that we'll know kind of have a sense? Because we've got a lot to cover and I want to make sure everyone, including Greg, has plenty of opportunity. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Up higher, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. We got to be brisk. We got a lot to cover.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I've got a few more. This next one is for you too as well, Bruce. Anytime that you have a vendor, does that vendor's contract have to be approved or seen or vetted by you?
Again, have to be? No. Typically, if it's a significant contract, sure. Depending upon the dollar amount or the implications of it, not always necessary. For a small contract, there's a cost-benefit analysis of having it looked at if there's not a lot of exposure to it.
How about 1.1 million?
That would not be a small contract.
That's all I need. It was also discussed in March 6th meeting, executive meeting, I was attending to. Payments and dues have always been received at the clubhouse, period. That was the standard and the practice of but...
Please be quick with it.
I am. Well, I need to address this because it was on Nextdoor. Okay?
Please do so quickly.
Payments have always been received at the clubhouse, period. So if somebody wanted to drop off their payment, they had the convenience of dropping it off here at the clubhouse, and it would be taken in by the management company, at that time NCM. Now, that has never changed. So when I read on there on Nextdoor, there was a lady that brought her payment in and she was told, no, you're on your own. Well, that was brought up in the last executive meeting upstairs, and Cuckoo said specifically, we will address that, but as far as going forward, we will accept payments into the clubhouse. That hasn't changed, nor has the board made any decision on that. Am I right, Craig?
I believe you're right.
Okay, thank you. So payment should be accepted into the clubhouse because it's a convenience to the homeowners, not the management company, okay? All right, we're good on that.
Okay, thanks. Can we move on to the next person,
No, we
please?
can't move on. I got one more question.
Craig,
Stop
no.
cutting me off, Craig, please. Please.
I just want to be
Please.
respectful to the many other
I
folks.
am, and guess what? Greg Douglas holds a whole bunch of information that you haven't told a lot of people, Craig, okay? So at some point, it all will come out. But again, though, you have to understand my part. I'm not on the board.
Ask your
I'm not-
question. Ask your question.
Yeah, I will ask my
Please go ahead.
question, okay? So, the next one. Pool defects, as you were talking about. All of these pictures that Rachel took should be a part of what you should be doing as part of the board. The pool defects anthology, we're supposed to receive a payment from Anthology at some point. Has those payments been paid out yet?
By the way, what is that?
Anthology is the 102 lots that were down here at the end. When that settlement was done, over about a month ago, payments were supposed to be made out after so many lots had been paid out. So, is that settlement complete and have the payments started yet, Craig?
I don't believe the facts that you're saying right now are the correct facts, and I would love to make sure that we set them straight for everyone so that everyone has the right facts at the same time.
Okay.
I think there's actually something on here too about the
Who
board.
knows?
Board recently resigned, majority.
Yes, the majority of the board has.
Yes, but what you're
Guys,
asking
guys,
to do is to.
excuse me. Can you answer before we get to the...
So I've answered that. We can go to the next person.
Okay?
There's a section on the agenda where he's going to talk about the construction and repair, so I'm assuming we're going to talk about that when we get down there.
Why not answering right now to that question?
I'd like to make sure that, okay, open forum is,
Guys, guys,
But he doesn't know.
so we're in agenda item 1, which is open forum. This is the opportunity for everyone who is a member of our association to speak. I would be glad to answer questions, but I have many, many questions to answer throughout this entire agenda and a lot of topics that we really need to cover tonight. If we allow the open forum to devolve into a question here and an answer there and a question here, we're losing the opportunity that we have tonight to get some real progress made on some real issues. I appreciate and respect Greg's questions, and I would like to get them answered. Some of the questions that he's asking are addressed as we get along. I would love to do this. And one thing that I am committing to you right now that you have never heard ever from this board is I will schedule as many open meetings as necessary so that everyone in this association gets an opportunity to put their questions on the table and get answers to them. That is my promise at this point. Am I going to be able to answer every single question at any moment? No. Greg's questions are excellent questions. They've been questions festering, honestly, for months and years. And I have great respect for Greg and his interests in improving this community. And I thank you, Greg, for the service that you've provided this community.
And I just want to say thank you for everybody's time. I'm not here to be a pain in the butt, but it kind of hurts sometimes when you read things on social media and you're only trying to do good for your neighbors. And I've been doing that, you know. I've put in the time. There's a lot of things that I know that I couldn't say when I was standing up there the last time, but I'm here to tell you, I'm not sitting over there anymore. I'm here to help my neighbors. And putting those questions to Craig, those are the way that we can all open up and get answers. And I appreciate what you're saying, Craig. But again, though, we would like to see a lot of things change in open forum.
Oh,
These are the
boy.
type of the questions,
Yes,
like I
sir.
said, that need to be answered. We need to know where everything's going and how it's appropriated. And Bruce, I appreciate your time on that too, is because I don't have a direct line to Bruce right now. So now is the time to ask them this question.
we have one of those added
Oh, hold on, let me take this. So I want to acknowledge how Greg is being really respectful in how he's posing some excellent questions that he has and that he has had for a long time and that have never been satisfactorily answered by our board of directors. Let's all recognize what's going on here. A person who has not been given answers repeatedly, and you can all hear that frustration in his voice. I bet many of us in this room have that same frustration. I am committing to solving these problems. I don't have answers to every single thing at the moment. I don't have solutions to every single thing at the moment. But I am here to help get us back on the track to good performance and good results that we all deserve. Next question.
I have two questions, one for the attorney and then one for you, Craig. There was a mention about fees or fines. The fines, when I look at the budget, there's no reference of fines anywhere. So where did that money go? That's one question. And then to the attorney, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Bruce. Bruce. As far as the election process, where are we with that? And can you kind of, is that a Craig question? With regards to the election process, I mean, what is required for that?
We
what
do
is the timetable for that?
We are coming to elections.
Item 10.
Thank you. It is. It is
So-
item 10. Right
So
on.
the first question, what happened to the fees?
What happened to?
The fees, the
Oh,
fines.
the fees. We're going to get to that in 4E.
Reference?
Financial audit.
Okay, can we move on?
So is that meaning, is that 4E, that reference that we're having an audit that's going on, or the question would be answered by in 4E?
I don't think we're going to get all the way to the far back end of your question, but we're going to get started on it.
So we have no idea where the money goes.
I will not say that.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Okay.
And the sooner we can get to it, the sooner we can get to
Can
it.
Bruce answer the question about the election? The election?
There's a whole timetable with the election that I believe.
Yeah, 10A is all about election and time frame.
So are we just going to go through this?
That's what I would like. I want to make sure people have a chance to come. I mean, open forum. If you don't like the color of someone's house, this is the time to say it, and let's get through those so that we can get to these answers on the agenda.
We have a couple of more people, so. I'm Anil. Yes, my question. So basically want to know your role.
I'm sorry, can you speak up?
I would like to know what is your current role?
What is my what?
Current role. What is your current position?
Current position.
Excellent question. So let's, by show of hands, raise your hand if you have read something that I posted not only on Nextdoor, I did on Nextdoor, but I also posted it on our website, AnatoliaHOA.org. It has option 1 and option 2. If that rings a bell, could you raise your hand? Okay, raise your hand if that does not ring a bell. I'm seeing like 3 hands, I think. Okay.
Craig, I think he's just asking, what is your role?
I understand.
Period.
So, no, I'll take the question. So, I was elected to this board of directors most recently in 2015. 2015, that was 3 years ago. My role started at that point, well, starting at that point, my role has been a member of the board of directors. What that means is I'm one of 5 people who have certain responsibilities to oversee the operations of this HOA. That's the role that the board has, and I'm one of those people. The other 4, as just about everyone has read in that option 1, option 2, got onto the board for a variety of reasons, a variety of ways, a variety of times. But for some reason, they all resigned on April 8th. That was 9 days ago. I don't know why they resigned, but to the gentleman's question, my role at the moment is that I'm the sole remaining member on the board of directors. And as Bruce could say, there are certain legal, I guess, ramifications of that, and we can get into that. We will need to have more than one person on the board of directors in order to conduct most items of business of this association. I say most. We will need more, and we need to get there. We need to get there quickly. And that's one of the issues that I want to address tonight. I'm addressing it in this packet, and we want to talk about it. Thank you for the question.
I'm Walter Mulonga. I came for the first meeting when I bought a house here. I've not been back since.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I was compelled to come this time because you said there was going to be a new board. Now I'm hearing a lot of things happening. People are bringing up old cases of things that are happening in the past. And I'm saying we need to move forward.
Thank you.
Now to move forward, we need a new board.
Yes.
I think we're starting off wrong by getting into open forum. We need to elect the board. After we get the board elected, then we move forward, because it's the board that is going to enforce that. If we don't have the board, then we're all just going to be talking again, and we'll come back again. But if we elect a new board, then we start fresh going forward. That's what I would suggest.
Thank you.
And that's what compelled me to come here.
And I'm sorry, your first name was?
Walter Malongo.
Walter. Thank you. Excellent point. Okay. Are people feeling that you're comfortable with us moving to agenda item 3?
There are a couple of hands. Do you want to get to them? Sir, did you have something to say?
Well, I was just going to make a comment. With the time crunch of today's meeting, can we stop the lead into the questions by just going to the point and just answering questions?
Okay. Good point. All right. Did you have anything?
My name is Malik. I moved here in May 2006. I've been here for 12 years. I have a question to ask you in a comment. There was a comment made about moving forward. It's hard to move forward if you don't know what were the conditions that caused the board members to resign. I don't even know what were the conditions that caused the change in management. So sometimes you have to go back to the past in order to move forward to ensure that you don't make the same mistakes again. It's not enough to just say, let's start a clean slate with a new board.
Absolutely.
You may be inheriting the same problems of the previous board. So I'm not sure if that's an agenda item coming up under item 4, immediate updates.
No, it's an excellent point.
I'd personally like to know what were the conditions or the circumstances that led to that board being appointed. What was the reason given, stated reason given for them resigning, and what can we look forward to with the election of a new board?
Those are excellent points. And I'm sorry, your first name?
Malik.
Malik? Thank you, Malik. Let me take a couple of the salient points in there. You asked what were the reasons why they resigned. I've been asked that a lot by a lot of people over the last 9 days. Let me give a very clear answer. What was the reason they resigned? I have not been told by any of them. Now, I can speculate, I could guess, I could theorize, but his question wasn't, hey Craig, what do you speculate? His question was, what was their reason? I do not know.
Who did they hand the resignations
Can I add further clarification to that as well?
Yeah.
It was generally when a resignation is given, it's generally given under adverse conditions. And to me, it's not satisfactory enough that a board resigned. They could have resigned because they have things to hide. It could have been because of misappropriation of funds. It could be a host of things.
Right.
So resignation does not satisfy me as a homeowner that the board is gone. They could have resigned so that there would be no further investigation moving forward. I want to know specifically why they resigned. Is there some improprieties that we need to, well, it's important to know.
Didn't they send in a letter?
Let me address it, because he's got an excellent question that is probably in the heads of nearly everyone in the room.
I mean, you don't know why they resigned.
So let's address it right now, because that's an excellent question and it needs to be brought into the open, and thank you, Malik, for bringing it into the open. I don't know. This apparently is being videoed. I imagine those board members might be seeing this at some point in the future. Let me make an open invitation. If any of the former board members who've recently resigned are willing to share, even under, I don't know, some sort of condition or secrecy, would like to share a clear reason for their resignation with me, I would be happy to hear that. And if they want me to keep it confidential, let them tell me, whatever. But my clear answer to your question is, I would like to know. And there's more to it too. But.
So when they resigned, did they turn in something? I mean, how did you know that they resigned?
Yeah.
Maybe we should have Bruce answer that.
I was contacted in writing, and board members said, I hereby resign effective immediately.
And they didn't give any reasons?
Nope.
Nope.
So, Mark, I have no standing on the board. My name is Mark Roush. I led the petition drive. Malik, you asked a great question, and I'm sorry I didn't answer your question at the beginning of this properly. And that is that because of what has gone on in the past, with there being no transparency, with people wondering what is going on, with secret meetings that are happening.
And no minutes.
No minutes. That's why we're videotaping. I led the petition drive. I had a meeting with Uni and John Brock. And they asked me at the very beginning of the meeting, did the March 8th Board of Directors meeting, was that the kiss of death for them? And I said, no. But what you should do is you should resign immediately, and then... You fired them. Well, I fired them. I did fire them. But a lot of people didn't take it seriously at the time. Wasn't it funny?
I took it good.
Yeah. But, so I said, you should resign. Now, if you want to run again, you want to be on the board, fine. Do that. And work now for the period of time to show that you are a good community members, and so on. So we had that discussion. Frankly, I had a terrific meeting with them. It was about 2 hours long. I mean, terrific meeting. It was really friendly and nice and all that stuff. And I think anybody that would have seen what happened in March would have said that I could not be in the same room with those people. And Tom, I'm sorry, I'm not sitting next to you tonight.
All right.
But I'm with you, my brother. So that's why. There really was a lot of stuff that didn't happen. And the whole reason for the videotaping is because there are a lot of people who wanted to be here tonight and want to hear. They want the information. So that's why I'm doing it, and that's the only reason why.
Thank you.
Rachel?
Thank you. Oh, actually, my question got answered by the attorney.
I know, Malik, I don't know if that's an acceptable answer, but with the new board, with more transparency and with the audit coming up, hopefully new light will shed and we'll find out more information. If there was something illegal that was done, hopefully we'll find out then. Then we'll find out what we can do at that time. So we just need to be patient and allow the board to kind of vet out a process to be transparent and allow everyone to satisfy it.
Thank you, Philip. That's an excellent point, and it deserves emphasis. You know, if there was anything going on that really needs to be brought to light, then that needs to happen. It needs to be brought to the light. We don't know what that was, if anything. We really don't. I don't wish to speculate either. But Philip's exactly right. Those things take time. And if anyone has heard directly from one of those board members about the reason, I would be interested in hearing that. I have not heard. I would like to know.
Okay, hang on. So my question is like, my name is Urvis Panchal and I also live here since 2007. And I was in the meeting on March 8, little hard also on my side. So my question, like this board resigned, did they leave the legacy of their fraud, financial fraud? Because one of the board members was chief financial officer. So whatever the funding or finance of the Anatolia HOA of all of us, did they did something wrong, and do we have anything in our bylaws to hold accountable to them by legal, so that they just walk away by putting the one paper, by contacting the legal counsel and say I resign, but they are morally, I don't know they are morally responsible, but they are responsible and accountable for all of us money.
I think this question you need to address that to the attorney. Yeah.
So I appreciate if you answered that it goes down to.
Would it be a fair way to boil down your statement to ask, how do we know if they took money? Is that what you're asking?
General statement, if money is improperly taken, there is all sorts of legal consequences to recover those funds and create consequences for those doing it. That being said, I have no evidence of that. And the independent accountants, I believe, have the 2017 financials that they are
Yes, they do.
in the process of preparing.
Yes, they do.
So the association, as part of its normal course of business, is doing its financial review in accordance with the civil codes.
So another thing that you have my word on is that I will do the best that I can to get that question answered. I owe that to all of us. I'm not saying you because it's us. I owe that to us to get those answers to the maximum extent that we can. I see a gentleman here who has some expertise that I'd like to give him a chance to answer. Adam.
I'm Adam Haney from CID Consortium. We're just starting as of April 1st with the management of your community. We're facilitating the process of the 2017 audit of your records. Now, it's being done by Levy Erlinger and Company. They recently received the records from your former management company and are in process. I only wanted to point out, it is in fact the audit that they're preparing
Yes.
rather than a review.
Yes.
There's a different standard of inspection that they do. Sort of those two.
So, I'm sorry, finish.
Certified public accountants, and they will be issuing an opinion on the financial statements that were prepared by your former management company.
Is there a difference between certified and opinion?
Not in the
Or it's not.
accounting world. It's either going to be a unqualified, or a non-qualified opinion, which means there's no concern, or they'll make a qualification. They might say, except for this part, we believe that your financial statements are fairly stated. Is that
So an important point that I hope we all take from that is there's an audit that's ongoing right now. It is ongoing right now. It is due by law April 30, so a few more days. We don't know what that's going to tell us. We could speculate whatever it might tell us. We don't know. When we get it, then we'll know and we'll be able to read it, and if it leads us down paths of questions, then we'll go down those paths of questions. We don't have it yet. We're supposed to get it by April 30. This will be the first audit that has been done of this association's records since fiscal year 2012. I will tell you, I've been pushing so hard our board year after year after year to get another audit. This is the first time I've been able to get it through since 2012. I'm hoping to find something helpful in this audit.
I've seen 5 hands, so once they are done, can we move on?
Let's say this. Let's say this. I've got 7:45. Let's pick how much time we want to allow for this before we move on to section 3. 5 minutes, 10 minutes in total.
Hands, so maybe we can get to them to top 6. So
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes. So that's an average of 1 minute per question.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Daniels. I've been chair in Anatolia since 2008. And I was among those that collected the signatures to vote out the current board members. To Malik's question, I think that the last meeting, several meetings that we've had like previous before this meeting, we collected more than 312 signatures, which means that either they resign and then we will appoint new members, board of directors, or they will be fired. So they have that option. But the thing is, the way that they resign was because the last meeting, everybody were kind of asking them so many questions for the 1.2 million that they were going to spend at the pool, to do renovation. So we were saying, you guys are not being transparent because they brought the construction company that came, to present whatever they were going to do in the clubhouse, outside, not inside or anything like that. So they were being asked so many questions. Bruce were there, and the other board of directors, were there. And then Phil who was, you know, the main person, I think he was like the head of the board of directors or something, you know, knew the construction company that they gave the contract to. So, and we were questioning why, you know, not open it up to the community to have the chance, because we have some people that live in the community that are construction, that have construction companies. So if we're gonna do a work for homeowners association, we should be represented. So, but anyway, that's, you know, basically what it is for some of you guys that, you know, missed some of the meetings. That's basically what the core issue were. You know, thank you.
Thank you.
Rachel, did you have something?
You have Rachel.
Do you have a question?
You had a question?
Raise your hand.
Go ahead. That's okay, go ahead.
She fell asleep, sorry.
My name is Reed Block. Greg, you asked if anybody had heard anything from any of the past board members. And yes, I have had one conversation. I asked that exact question, why? And the comment that I got, for what it's worth, was simply, since the beginning of the May 8th meeting, they came to a point where they felt they were no longer able to do their job effectively. That's what the comment was. Take that for what it's worth. I don't verify the validity of it or anything, but that's what I was thinking.
Thank you, Reed.
So,
for all these questions, are we taking we call it AR?
What's your name, please?
Sorry. I'm Shailendra Sharma. I live in Anatolia since 2010. Just wanted to ask, are we capturing the ARs also, like, you know, say some questions for you, you said you will answer later. So,
well, yeah, they're on here.
No.
So he asked me to take
From
down
these
action
questions.
items, and I've been taking down action items that
So that you
he's
know,
been asking.
I'm not saying we should answer this today, but we should not leave those questions unanswered for in future.
Agree.
Hi, my name is Ian, and I would like to use this open forum to talk about very critical issues that affect our area that's not on the agenda today. One, I cannot disclose today in an open meeting setting. I would like to talk about it with any of the board members. The second one is very critical right now. The Cordova Parks and Rec District is trying to build a two-story office/recreation administration building right by rabbit open area on the new Heron Landing Park. So I'm not sure if you're aware of this issue, but we do not have to talk about this in tonight's meeting, but if you could schedule a meeting in future meetings, I'm more than happy to talk about that issue and let you guys know what's going on. Thank you.
Christy, could you? Thank you. Is there a specific time concern, like we need to have this before May 10th or something like that?
Yes, I'm not sure when the board meeting, the Park District board meeting is at, but I believe it's going to be held in less than a quarter away.
Less than a quarter?
Yeah.
Where's the location again?
In the new Heron Landing Park, the new
park,
20-acre park.
Where are they going to put it?
So there is an open area. We don't have
5
to talk
minutes
about
is
it.
coming to a close here.
Can you take down his name and you can provide any additional
I'll
information?
definitely talk to Craig or Bruce.
Or post it if you have one, right?
We're having this.
Last question. Go ahead, Ben.
We're having, you've spoken about the audit. I want a total inventory of all the property that we own. Every chair, everything that we own. That's a part of our asset. And no one seems to care. But that's a big thing. I can't believe my management company is asking for an audit, because that protects you. When you're coming in, you can't, because we come in, where's this and where's that, and how come this is not working? You need an inventory to protect yourself. So that's, I'm pushing for an inventory. We need an inventory. I want to know what we own and what we need to replace, and so that whenever they just want to replace something, they have to come through somebody. Don't just go out and buy $550 chairs and lock the room so can't nobody use them but the board.
Oh, did you get an inventory list?
That's the word.
I have a report with
Yeah, but let him answer. It was a good question.
I have a report that lists many of the components and items that need to be maintained within the community. I do not have a specific itemized inventory list that goes down to each item in this room, such as wall coverings and light fixtures individually. The reserve study does include a listing of generally items in bulk, so it will go through and say, we have approximately 50 light fixtures of this type, and they have an estimated life of 30 years. We have about a remaining of 15 years on the useful life of these light fixtures. That allows us to plan into the future so that we know, A, what's coming up that's going to need to be paid, but also so that we can plan to fund for those. Most communities don't like when we announce that we have work that needs to be done and we don't have sufficient funds to do so. Most of them prefer that we set aside monies in advance so that when work that we can anticipate is scheduled, we can pay for it at that time with money we've already set aside. So that inventory, in that sense, it is a reserve study, and I'd encourage all of you to take a look at the reserve study. I'm almost certain we uploaded it on the homeowner portal. That's our site, HOAonline.pro. You have an activation code, and it's for members. So members have the access to that system. If you don't, please let me know so that we can get you signed in.
And that report that he's referring to is by a company called Helsing, and you'll see that in the footer it's dated October of 2016. So you'll know you're looking at the right one. We have to redo it every 3 years. Every 3 years. So the next one would be due, I guess, in 2019.
So,
well,
can we go on to the...
Yeah, let's do. Okay. So, folks,
vote
exactly. Thank you, Amar. Thank you for moderating. So we said a few minutes ago that we wanted to allow 5 more minutes. We've allowed a little more than 5 minutes. So let's move on. There's so much more to cover. Thank you, Amar, for moderating. I really appreciate that. There are many, many questions. I've got many in my head. I bet everyone in this room has many, many more questions in your head. Let's try to get through some of these things about how we're going to get to solutions on some of these. We will not solve everything tonight. When you're leaving here tonight, the question that's in your head now may not be solved. Probably it won't be solved. I don't want to set a goal to try to solve all of them tonight. What I do want to try to do tonight is help people feel, help everyone feel as homeowners who are paying into this association that someone is listening. Some professionals are here to do their professional work. We'll get to that more soon. And that your money is being well cared for, which it has not been well cared for in the past. Is there anyone in the room, by show of hands, who feels that your money has been well cared for in the past? Okay. I think I see one hand. Okay. So that's what we are up against, and that's what we're going to be addressing. It's going to take a lot more than just tonight. Moving on. We have a completely new approach for Anatolia HOA. Tonight we'll be hearing ways to fill the remaining board of director seats. We'll also talk about ways to get qualified professionals in place here to do professional work in areas that have not been professionally done in the past. We'll be getting to all of those things. B, how our new Anatolia HOA is listening finally to owners. There's a lot of listening that needs to happen. There's a lot of listening that has not been happening, not just by the recent board, but by prior boards as well. There's going to be much better listening. You will be getting that from me. I think many in the room probably have been telling me for sure, and I imagine you believe, that I've been listening. I'm not always able to succeed in accomplishing everything that people tell me that they would like me to accomplish. That's going to be a little different now that the board composition has changed quite a bit. However, what I want you to feel and what I want to show you is that the way the board is going to be filled back out is going to be done in a way where all of us have input. One of the biggest problems that's been occurring is appointments to the board of directors. That's been a problem. It will now, as long as I have any say-so, it will be the homeowners who are expressing their views so that the people on the board of directors are people who have the consent of the homeowners. I say that with emphasis. People who have the consent of the homeowners. Thank you. It's important to say that because I'm not going to get off on a long tangent. C, new website, open meetings, following the law better, following our CC&Rs. People who have read the relevant laws on homeowners association, principally one called Davis-Sterling Act, and people who have read our CC&Rs and are familiar with those things are probably familiar with some areas where there are questions about whether we've been complying in the past. Those are legitimate questions. They should be asked. We need to follow the law and our CC&Rs. That's the commitment that I'm making. I take pride in knowing the relevant laws and CC&Rs to the extent that I can. I'm an amateur. I'm a volunteer. I'm not a professional at this. I don't make $1 at this. But as a volunteer, I take my responsibility seriously to know those things. I hope that anyone who is considering asking to be put on the board of directors has at least as much of a commitment at learning and following the Davis-Sterling Act and our CC&Rs.
What is the Davis-Sterling Act?
What is it? What's the Davis-Sterling Act?
Section 4000, it's the primary legal framework for governing common interest developments.
It's part of state law. Okay, immediate updates. Clubhouse plans. Looking at the calendar, summer's coming up. We've got traditionally a lot of activity in this clubhouse in the summertime. A lot of kids, a lot of families, a lot of parties. There's going to be peak summer demand coming up. And as we go through, I'm hoping you'll see that preparations are being made quickly to be ready for that summer demand, so that we don't have a situation of any more than necessary surprises about availability of this asset that we all own. Watch for more. Clubhouse transition management and staff. This is the immediate update portion, so I'm going to take it very quickly here, but we're going to get into a lot more meat on this issue as we go further down. There's just been a transition. I want to acknowledge the efforts of CID Consortium in taking transition from NCM over the past couple of weeks. There's much more transition to come. C, clubhouse transition, physical maintenance and safety, and new professional preventive maintenance schedule. This is the brand new and first ever Anatolia Clubhouse Maintenance Manual, professionally prepared by industry experts, specifically in homeowner association buildings and structures. It's more than 300 pages long and goes into great detail, not about general things about light fixtures in other HOA buildings, but about these light fixtures in the Anatolia Clubhouse, these chairs, these floors, these ceilings, these windows. This has been professionally prepared. It just arrived. I accelerated the final completion of this. It came on Sunday, April 15th, 2 days ago. It's brand new. It also includes... Yeah?
Just a question. There was a question about the equipment list that we have here. So how is that created if we don't have an equipment list? I mean, that's just a wonderful document, and you're saying specific to our lights and our chairs.
Yep.
There was a question earlier about, well, we have a list of all of the inventories.
So that's an excellent question, so let me address that really quickly.
So there must be a list.
So what Willie was asking about, and what Adam answered about, was a thing called the reserve study, which is a financial document prepared by experts in that field of preparing reserve studies. Similar to, but different from this. This is prepared by construction and maintenance, building custodian people, not necessarily accountants, people who are in that industry, who know what the replacement time frame is on the light fixture there, and know what kind of maintenance is needed on those cabinets over there. So it's not a financial document about keeping track of the dollars. It's a maintenance manual.
No, I was speaking specifically to, you said you pointed out the lights and the chairs of Anatolia.
Right.
So there must be a list of equipment
somewhere
in order for that document to be created, unless it's just a general.
When you say, I think it not be inventory specifically amount of quantity of chairs, but there's a list of at least each individual items without the quantity.
Adam, you want to take that with regard to the reserve study?
No, we're talking about your maintenance.
Okay.
That book you just showed us.
Yeah.
All right, so what I think I'm hearing is there are some questions about this document and its preparation.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in this. I don't want to hold myself out as an expert in this. I'm a recipient of this. What I think I'm hearing is perhaps people would like the authors who wrote this to come give some answers. Okay, I'm seeing some heads.
No, I don't think
No, I'm guessing.
They just want to know what's in the book if they took, in order to give us this, did they have to take a count of how many chairs we have, or how many tables we have in order to give us a maintenance schedule? So did they take a list of everything we have in order to prepare that for them to send it to you?
I have merely seen Craig flip through the pages at this week for that report, but I observed that there were pictures of individual components. That implies to me that someone came to the property, inspected components throughout the facility, took pictures of them, and put them in that report.
So they could have a list of our...
It should have a list of components. What it includes and excludes is not
No, that was
clear
my
to
question,
me.
exclude. I just, there was a list that was created in order to create the document. And by the way, Craig, I want you to know, thank you very much for getting that done.
That's right.
That's just an acknowledgement for, because that is something that's needed. But when you say it's specific to us, and a question was presented, well, where is all of the list of the equipment that we have?
There's the backup document.
Those are excellent questions. Those are excellent questions, and you deserve to have them answered. You deserve to have them answered. I don't have the answer right now. I want to make sure you get the answer. So I'd like to schedule, and I'm hoping Christy will write this down, let's schedule a time for anyone who wants to come and talk with these people that wrote this and get that answer. I would also say in the packet, if you turn a couple of pages in, this is one page from the table of contents. You can see it talks everything from air conditioning, condensation, drainage, to attic pest control, barbecue, cabana, decorative metalwork, all that. So this was just a representative sample page, and if you turn the page, on the back is another representative sample page. That one is about the electrical load center. And it talks about the description, maintenance suggestions, and so forth.
Craig,
Okay,
can you tell
yes.
us when this document was done?
It's been done.
We were led to believe at the March 8th meeting that we had some dire safety issues out here and huge liabilities. Did this document identify anything like that that we should be concerned about?
I've spoken with the author of this document as recently as today, and we have an ongoing dialogue about how to use this and how we can best get this into the use of professionals here at the clubhouse. There were a couple of items that he pointed out that need to be addressed quickly. He expressed to me that there are not significant, like, close the clubhouse kinds of issues, but there are things that need to be addressed, some sooner than others.
That's what we
Okay, and we do need to move on, but let's take a couple more questions.
No, hold on.
I hate to keep raising my
So, is there a soft copy to that?
They are sending a soft copy, and I will...
And so if there is one, that's great, it'll be on the website. So if I need to search for something, I can just do that.
I'm going to check with council to make sure we're not violating any confidentiality or anything.
I just want to confirm, are there like service level agreements in there, in that, like for like the club, for like the gym, equipments, things that we lease, like
The receptacles
and,
on
and
the
like
floor.
full service, things that we can expect if we see something that's not right. We can see what's the service level of agreement to see if they're complying and
It
what
sounds
we
like
can
you're
do.
talking about the contracts that exist for the maintenance, not just what the maintenance needs are. This speaks
Yeah, I don't
to-
know what's in there. I haven't looked. This is
Right.
We have a health problem right now, today, sitting right out there at that fountain. I looked at, I had never been up here. I don't use the clubhouse. That's the health department would close that down and everything around it, because that's a mosquito haven sitting out there. It is absolutely filthy. Why is it even still with water in it?
Why isn't it drained?
It's just horrible. I went upstairs and I saw a leather chair that looked like, for lack of a better word, looked like termites been just made all the top off the leather. And I'm saying, my God, I passed this clubhouse and I'm proud of it. But then I'm looking at, I had never come up here and see what a disrepaired place it is. And it's not your fault. But I'm trying to get, there are members here that will come in and we'll volunteer to do an inventory. We'll put numbers on each item. But that's a health hazard. And if the health department ever, the mosquito, whatever they call them, if they ever come out, they gonna close everything.
Those are the type of a service level agreement I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Say if we hire a management company, we expect that to be done. So
That's right.
I'm not saying that's your
Just
responsibility,
open
but
that
I'm just
door.
If I could
putting
just
it out.
add on to that, I attended a wedding here last Saturday night, and to tell you the truth, I was embarrassed.
Me too.
The children were running around that fountain, and we had to get them away from the fountain because it is a health hazard.
Yeah, you see.
I know. Yes, I do. You should see the other one.
Let's move through these quickly because we got a lot to cover.
Your
and
turn.
it's
Your turn.
getting late.
So, thank you, when did this come about? When did that book come about? What meeting was that approved in, or?
Excellent question.
And how much did it cost to
That's
to
right.
have it, to get it? How much they did charge us for that? Because I don't think that covers us. I think that's a generalization of HOAs.
That's an excellent question. I'd like to answer right now. And then can we, once I answer that, can we get moving on? We really have a lot of stuff to cover. Okay, thank you. So your question was, when did it get approved? This work effort was approved in late 2017 by the board at that time. I want to say about November. I could be off a little bit, but about November.
Okay, so the previous board had a handle in getting that taken care of.
Getting this was an act of the board at that
Okay,
time.
so there's a plus, they did something.
Well, let's not dwell into things that have already been done. We need to learn from history, right? Let's move on to what can we do.
Okay, financial audit status for 2017. We've talked about that a little bit. It's in progress. We don't know what it's going to say because it hasn't been written, but those accountants are doing our work. I will also point out Levy Erlanger, the firm that's doing our audit, is a firm based in San Francisco. They say they have 600 HOA clients, and I believe that is their only business. That's what I saw.
Okay.
Okay. In any case, well, perhaps you could speak to Levy's stature in the HOA accounting world.
Their history in our industry goes way back.
We don't need this.
We don't need
Yeah, we don't need
Okay.
this.
All right.
So, real quick, just one more.
I don't see it. I didn't see it.
I was waiting to comment on item 4D, specifically as it relates to the gym behind us. As a resident here for the past 12 years, one of my pet peeves, I mean, we all can agree that health is paramount. Nothing else we're talking about would exist without health. Our gym, the gym equipment specifically, is obsolete. It's time to stop repairing antiquated, worn out equipment and replace, not repair. Many of us who work out in that gym, we bring to management's attention a simple handle that goes on a curl bar. For 6 weeks, counting, can't get that $7 handle.
Covers
Our
all
order
the
sign is
spas.
just being moved, one piece of equipment to the next. You know, we all joke about it, we just move it from one equipment. So my question is, as far as planning, moving forward, I hope there will be some emphasis placed upon updating our gym with some more modern equipment, and at the very least, repairing things as soon as possible. So if there's a health hazard in the gym, people are still using that bar without the appropriate clips. So
That's an excellent point that you bring up, and I'm glad you're doing it because it's been brought up year after year after year after year without being addressed by the prior boards. Find a date that's 6 weeks from today, come back at that point and tell me if you think things have gotten better. So I'm making that commitment, 6 weeks. Not 2 years, 5 years, come back whenever, 6 weeks.
But Craig, there's more than this year. We need a board.
So, thank you. It looks like I might have skipped over 4D, so I'm glad you brought that to my attention. If I seem to skip over something, do like Malik did and call me out on it. Quickly. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. We got all these things to cover. By the time we're done here, you'll have that answer. Okay. Quick item here, number 5. Status of the top 21 things our HOA needs to do for us. It's important to recognize that this survey, if you turn the page, most of you recognize this. There's some thank yous involved here. I want to thank you for taking the time to do this survey. It started on February 24th. It was active for a few weeks. I took this snapshot on March 20. You took the time, you had your voice, I was listening to your voice. The result of this, and if you remember the text that was around it, talking about the March 8th meeting, please come to the March 8th meeting, here's the time, here's the date, here's the location. You came, you saw this, and you came. And as Mark pointed out, that was a pivotal meeting. Thank you for doing this. If you notice the comparison of the blue to the red, the agrees to the disagrees, that's the voice. That's the voice of all of us. I'm looking at all 21 of these. These can all be done, and most of these can be done in 2018. They can all be done, and most of them can be done in 2018. It's going to depend on the board of directors as we go forward for the choices that they will be making to accomplish these things.
I mean, the survey, I mean, it's a great question. But when you ask these questions, these are almost questions that everyone's going to answer.
I'm sorry?
I mean, when you ask these questions, the majority's going to answer yes. If you don't give options, would you like to reduce fees, but not at the consequence of not fixing the pool? When you make a survey like that, that's more relevant to what people will want versus just asking, do you want reduced fees? Who wouldn't want reduced fees?
Well, sure, and I'm not a professionalist, and I tried to make that clear. It's an informal survey, it's not scientific. A lot of...
I'm just saying that we should make more, once a board established, we should make more relevant.
I love that. And
consequence to something.
If you would like to put together in a better way, I would love that, because we need people's inputs. We need people's inputs.
So there's 2 more real quick, and then we can move on.
Okay, let's do them quickly.
Correct. Thank you for putting this survey. Do you have the same results for April 9th survey?
Guys.
On April 9th, you had a similar survey, right?
On April 9th, I had a survey. There were several. Which one was that one?
Regarding the options.
Oh, the option 1, option 2? Yeah, so he's asking about the option 1, option 2.
Survey results.
Right, the survey results. When I last checked, it was several days ago now. At that time, it might have changed now, but at that time, 96% option 1, 4% option 2. Again, thank you for sharing those opinions, because those help me do what you want.
You said the work on this survey will depend on the new HOA board, right?
Of course.
Why new HOA board? We will put the conditions for new HOA board. We don't want to come into the same situation which we had before. Nothing will depend on the HOA board now.
I'm sorry, you said nothing will depend on the HOA board?
No, so HOA board will not, HOA board, which will be new board, is not responsible for what we want, right? We as residents will make sure HOA board will follow what we want.
That's the idea, yes.
Well, yeah,
no, not only we elect them, we will hold them accountable for the survey results. Otherwise, you have been doing these results several times. Who will follow up that results are being followed up?
We will.
That's why, right? We don't want to hear this that the HOA board will be.
We will hold them accountable.
That's what we are saying. No, I'm commenting to his comment. HOA board is not dependent on HOA board. New coming board is not dependent on up to them to furnish all these requirements. Right?
We need to get forward first.
Okay.
So can we go through that and maybe we can have an outline?
Okay. Okay. Moving from the old boards to the new boards, or the new board. Let me move that down. We'll take that. So I'm on number 8.
Guys.
Okay, thank you. I hope it's obvious to everyone, because it's certainly obvious to me, that there are a lot of questions in the room. A lot of people have a lot of questions about a lot of these things. No way could we address all of those tonight. For that reason, in number 8, I am committing to selecting dates for open detailed meetings. Help me prioritize so that we can get them in the priority order that you want so that we can get these addressed. Clubhouse, there's been a lot of discussion about Clubhouse. The neighborhood standards, we haven't had a lot of discussion in this room tonight about the CC&R enforcement, but that's going to need to improve drastically as well. Yards, parking, trees, all that. Financial management, we've talked about that quite a bit. Payoff of Clubhouse mortgage is coming. It's still on track. We're looking to have that paid off approximately fall of this year. And I want to talk a little bit about having an end of Clubhouse mortgage party when we get down to that spot. And other topics. Someone brought up a topic earlier, I think Christy wrote it down, that we'll add as 8D. Okay, volunteer opportunities. Let's go straight to 10. Upcoming elections. Timeline. So we need to start filling out our board. Bruce has been working with the Helsing group. Do I need to explain what Inspector of Elections is? No. Okay. So there's a company that's going to be our Inspector of Elections. It's called Helsing. And they've been contracted already to conduct the upcoming elections so that we can have elected seats on our board.
When is that?
Bruce has been working with Helsing to set out the detailed timeline, and it's right here. I'll read it. And this will be available to everyone. It just came in. It's got 8 points. The timeline would be as follows. 1, inspector has address list April 25. 2, call for candidates April 28 for a 30-day period. 3, candidate slate is finalized 5/31. 4, advocacy statements due, advocacy statements being vote for me because of this, with the record date established as June 30. Campaign period July 2018. Ballots mailed out to membership August 1. Ballots counted for delegates September 5. Delegate votes counted for election of directors October 1. That's an excellent point. Say that again louder, Rachel. Excellent point. We'll come right to that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Do you have a list of all of those dates you're going to provide for us?
That's what I just said. That just came in. It was dated today at 5:07 p.m. Absolutely, absolutely. What's the best way? So this is about a one-page email.
Next door, outside.
Any? Next door? Is any concerns about post-it? Website. Oh, website. Folks.
Yeah. So, guys, is there an? Hold on.
So we're on.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
He had a question, then she had a question, and I saw two more hands there.
But we need to answer that question first. Can it be done earlier, or what is the answer to that question?
That's an excellent question. So I'm going to ask Bruce to talk a little bit more about this election time frame. And could you also speak to the option 1, option 2, where we've heard there's a 96% preference for option 1? And what option 1 was that all of the seats be into the election, and option 2 was to have appointments.
Have a what?
Well, option 2 was the appointments, remember? Because 96% of the people said, no, we want option 1, which is everything elected. That's what I want too.
A whole new election.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. All 5, right.
Can I speak to that one first?
Yeah, okay.
Kind of
So I'm
easy
asking
one.
Bruce to please address the timeline and the options on this election.
Great. Maybe some people will have more questions that Bruce can answer, so maybe you might want to wait, because the questions that some people might have might be something that you just answer at the same time.
Let me answer that question, please.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's okay. You can
Yeah, go ahead. So right now, corporate status is currently there is one director. Under California law, a 5-person board of directors with one director, that sole director's sole corporate capacity is to appoint sufficient members to the board to create a quorum. You have a situation here with Craig that he could appoint 2 people to be a 3-person board, thus constituting a valid quorum for corporate actions. Craig's seat is already up for election. If he appoints someone to fill Philip Latenzer's seat, his seat was up for election. That would be 2 people up for election. The other 2 seats, if they remain vacant under the Corporations Code, positions not filled by the directors are filled by the members. So Craig's, the equivalent of Mr. Latenzer's seat, and the 2 vacant seats would be up for election. So procedurally, it would be a 4-person. I think you would characterize it as we could elect 3. So you can actually elect 4 this year. New people to the board, so to speak.
So what I think I'm hearing is we as the community have an opportunity to elect 4 out of the 5, including me as one of the 4, but we don't have an opportunity, are you saying, to elect one of the others?
Correct.
Okay.
Can you explain more simple English?
Yeah, I know it's brutal. And this is the easy stuff. Bottom line is that the Craig has an obligation to appoint at least 2 people to the board.
An obligation, you said?
An obligation to appoint at least 2 people to the board. Once that happens, those 3 constitute the board. They don't have to appoint 2 more people for the vacant spots. They can leave them vacant, and they automatically get added to your planned election. Recall, your planned election for this year was only 2 seats. It's now potentially 4.
So,
You're going to serve the petition, and so everybody has to leave. Yeah, that's exactly. We're not having that. We are having an election for all seats.
Yes. Yeah. But they.
You got actually, in a weird sort of way, the recall has already happened.
No.
No, because we still have 1 board member.
No, he's up for election.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is we don't want to wait until the end of the year.
Yeah. That couldn't have been, there's no way it could have been done faster.
Why?
Because the process, think about, I think I gave the example the last one, think about Gray Davis being recalled. The process took quite a while to go through, and then you ended up with a November election for Arnold Schwarzenegger. So hang on.
What happens if Craig resigns today? It's a vacuum.
Yeah.
Then what is the next steps?
I think I end up going to court to get an appointment from the court, because I'll have a corporation literally with no directors.
And then you have to appoint somebody based on what the court.
No. That would be a court action. I would. that would be a bad idea for Mr. Osborne to resign. There's no good.
The reason is, see, the petition clearly says.
Guys, hold on.
See, we all love Craig, but there is a certain number of community members. They're seeking Craig to also get out of that petition. What I ask is, we all love Craig because he's serving this community since 2006. But we do not want people to come back and Craig, hey, you're not doing things. So this is the best idea, Craig. Go back and get a renewed confidence in you.
Well, my seat is up for election.
What was your name, sir? What was your name?
Anil.
Anil?
Anil.
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 A-N-I-L.
Anil.
Anil, okay. Anil, for sake of discussion, Craig appoints Anil as one of the two board members, because we need two more. Just humor me here. If we go through the process I just discussed, Craig's seat and 3 other seats would be up for election. And at the end of that process, the board would comprise Anil and whoever else is elected. In March, you were not on the board. Any petition to recall the board couldn't have recalled you because you weren't a board member. So if we get to, for sake of discussion, October, and have a new board and you're on it, legally I can't say, well, you don't have a right to be on the board, you should have been recalled. No, you weren't even on the board until April of 2018. So that's to my comment of the recall. As a practical matter, when the seat that was already up for election and would become vacant if you're not reelected. Right. So Mr. Osborne was already subject to recall, as it were, through the normal election process. The other 4 people resigning create, as a practical matter, a recall result without even wasting the time for a recall vote.
So we have a few hands. So you had a question, and then Anshu. Go ahead.
Can people stay until 10 o'clock tonight? Okay. We got big important things to cover. It's 8:29 on my watch. Right. Okay. Go.
So my question is, the last time that we had the meeting, we're saying that we need election, and all the homeowners association, say that we need an election. We can't wait for this, big company to come and do election for us. We want to be able to appoint who we want to the board of directors. And I think that, having Greg's seat that is up for election is, is good. I mean, he can be elected, nobody, But the thing is, we want an opportunity to elect 5 board members new. And my question now to you, Bruce, is, I know that they said in the last meeting that the budget for this company to come and do election for us is like almost $11,000 or $12,000. And I'm saying that's the money that, legally, must we have that company to come and perform this election for us, or do we just do the balloting, or like send out, are we required to elect, or to hire a company to do that election? I'm just looking at the cost because it's $11,000 is not $11.
What it sounds like we have the opportunity to do, as he's saying, if I have an obligation, not something that I would want and I don't want, but if I have an obligation to put in place 2 colleagues, and I can do that soon, then we can have, with the consent of all of this neighborhood, a board of 3 people that is the people that you and I and we all want. If I listen to the community, and then next week, if I do what the community is saying at that time, then we can have a functioning board, Bruce, a functioning board with 3?
Yes.
A functioning board that can move forward on business, and we have some important business items we want to talk about before people need to get home. But this gives us, not in October when the election would be, but next week, gives us a functioning board, not of people that, how about her? Or how about him? But what it gets us, and this is what I'm asking for your opinion on, is it gets us the ability to have a functioning board of people that, I'm going to grate my teeth when I say this, appoint, but only by virtue of what the community says. If the community says it should be Gary and it should be Kathleen, then I would say it's Gary and it's Kathleen.
So I saw a lot of hands for Anshu first. Go ahead.
Okay, so
guys,
my question is, if we appoint 2 people in the interim, so there is no way all the 4 seats can still go for election, considering either the recall or the normal process? Or the 5 seats?
If he appoints 2, there'll still be temporary positions available.
Yeah, that I understand, but is that the only option? We can't, since that person is nominated now, there is no way that can go into the election without that cycle coming in?
What he means is, even if he appoints 2 people, later in the coming election, can we again go for the election for all the seats?
No.
What if that last person resigns?
If that last person resigns, sure. If that, think about this. The dilemma is, if that person resigns, I have a 2-person, I don't have a quorum for a corporate action, so I need someone to fill that spot. Essentially, 1 seat that of the 5 on the board is not, absent a recall, is not up for election, period. That's not Mr. Osborne's seat. His seat is up. But there is 1 currently vacant seat that, when filled, will not be on the ballot later this year.
In that case, I would say what Craig said is the best option. We are not going for the election as per the company. Instead, we as a community should come together and come up with a process to elect.
I would like to call a meeting next week to do that.
So if that is the only option, then instead of ballot, we can come up with ballot also, which we will all decide on a date, and we should all come here and do the election, and then do, like, whoever wants, have, like, let them present how they can do, or like what their background is, and then the board, then the community can decide. Since that is only option.
Ma'am.
Bruce?
Yes.
If I'm correct, under the corporation court, where you're talking about the quorum, we have to have 3. What are those 3 positions that have to be filled?
Board positions, board of directors.
Board.
Yeah.
Okay, because, you know, our bylaws say that any contracting has to be signed by the CFO and the president.
So the bylaws provide that the board elects the officers. So once you have a constituted board for a quorum, that would be one of their first action items, would be ministerially to take care of officer elections.
So potentially, one of those 2 positions would be the permanent appointment for 3 years.
No.
If you bring in people and you appoint them into a quorum, and per our bylaws, we have to have a vice president and a chief financial officer to do any financial dealings, because they are the only ones authorized to sign contracts or sign checks. One of those 2 positions would not be up for election in this October go-around.
No, officer designations are at the discretion of the board and can be changed at any time. So do not confuse the distinction in the bylaws of officer versus director.
Okay, then who makes those distinctions? Once the board is elected.
The board. The board. Yeah.
They get together and decide.
They decide themselves.
You're going to be the president.
Okay, guys, hold on. So
let's take this for 1 more minute, and then we need to get on.
Okay, so
1 minute.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Craig, I had a suggestion. Can we, some of the people on next door already had a
list of people that were ready to run for the board? Can we do an informal
Absolutely.
election now to the people that you want to appoint, so we still have a say in who gets appointed?
Say that again louder.
So what I'd say is that we have a list of some people already.
Can you all hear him?
One of the
Yes.
lists had a list of somebody that wanted to run. Can we do an informal thing in the next 2 weeks that we put together fast that allows you to appoint the people that we have agreed to fill that spot?
I love that idea because it sounds and will be like the people having their voice finally. So yes to all that. And there may be other processes we could do. I want to make sure we get the right and the best process. Yeah.
So hold on. So
Okay.
does she and
My husband's on a board in Hawaii, and if we need to find 3 people, or you need to pick 2 people or 3 people, people who want to do it need to write a resume of what their qualifications are.
I'd like.
So we all know who we're electing. We're just not going to go take your next door neighbor because it's a lot of work to be on the board. It's a thankless job.
Thank you. Saw that.
My husband, well, he just resigned from the board because of all the stuff going on, but
Okay,
it's a thankless job.
Thank you for pointing it out. Just for half a minute, we really need to get on this.
Thank you, Mike. All right.
I was just going to suggest maybe having, rather than just resumes posted online, could we have another meeting where it's at a town hall?
Yes, exactly.
So we can
Yes.
actually meet people and ask
So
questions.
let's pick a date. Could we pick one next week so that we can be expeditious about getting this done? I do not want to, and I will not say it's him and it's her. That would be terrible, and I won't do it. I want to get a process that will make all of us give our input, or allow us all our input. So what I would like to have, what I would like to ask is, can I have at least 5 volunteers to set up a process? So maybe this gentleman here with the Harley Davidson had a great idea on process. I think I have a couple ideas on process.
I volunteer.
Hold on.
Okay, are you
Hold on,
volunteering?
guys.
Okay, maybe Christy can get her name.
I just want to say, a lot of great ideas have been suggested. What have we agreed to? The gentleman from Harley Davis, you already came up with a great suggestion. So
Yeah.
why are we still debating this? We should pick one of the processes that you suggested. We can move forward. You made suggestions.
She's making the notes.
It's like we're entertaining suggestions, we're going to go into someone else without making a decision on that suggestion.
How about this?
Yes.
Does anyone have a process idea that you think might be in any way better than his? Okay. Maybe we should just go with what he suggested.
Yeah. I think interest is the first
I saw a hand.
qualification. Yeah, people who are interested in a
I saw a hand behind,
That's one of the
all the way
first
back.
qualifications.
Yes, sir.
have consideration for a process. I think you do need to fill the board positions on an interim basis. That's important. And you got, the last meeting, there was at least 9 to 12 people that are interested. So if you have someone here that is interested in serving on an interim and not running back in November, that would be best suited, because now you can serve. And then those who are going to run in November, but you need help now.
Bruce,
So
is
a
that
process to consider?
We have the
filling in-
list, we have the list.
Filling in
So
with someone,
he's talking
where
about
you can
Willie.
pick.
Willie is
You
on
can't
that
say,
list.
I will pick you, but one of those picks are, no, they're not running in November. They're here to help in that interim time.
No.
I'm just saying the process. If they want, that is a, that, yes, I'm just suggesting as a process.
Okay. No, means Bruce can answer whether we can have interim positions or not. Like he suggested.
So let's listen to his answer. It's a great question. Let's hear the answer.
Under the Corporations Code, a director can give a future date for resignation. So a person who is appointed could say, I will accept the appointment and I hereby resign upon the election of my successor, thereby vacating their seat this year. So you could do it. I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent, but legally it would be consistent with the Corporations Code.
And that's a great idea because we
Is
will
it binding?
Well, it's binding, but it's the proverbial Survivor TV show. You make some deal, then you get selected, and then you go, you know what, you can't appoint someone on a condition precedent that they agree to X. So that would, is it binding?
I'm
sure that will not happen with Mark around.
Why can't you do pro tem? Why can't you do provisional and have a date?
If that happens, just move to the next person,
So really it has to come down to being, having integrity and being honest. If you're going to say that you're going to resign at that period of time, you have to withstand your word and resign.
Christy makes an excellent point. As we're listening to, let's call them candidates, as we're listening to those candidates and we're listening to whatever promises they're making, let's evaluate whether we trust that. It really does come down to, do you feel like you can trust somebody?
But those positions are going to be open the next election.
So there are a couple of hands I saw. So, ma'am, yes.
He has covered what I'm trying to get to.
Okay.
I was thinking that we could elect a temporary board because we have an emergency here. The word nominate just kind of turns me off.
The corporation's code says Craig appoints.
All of us have an address. Every house has one vote. And we bail out the mailers, or we go online and you can pull it off. We know how many people live in this. We know the names of everybody, and everybody gets to vote on who they want on this temporary board, because we need something now. And
okay,
so I don't want nobody to appoint anybody. I want to vote.
What we were just talking about here, though, is to put together a committee to look at the process and bring it back to everyone.
But that takes time. We need something now, because we are about to spend money that we need to talk about. We need a board in place. Somebody we can go to say, look, we want this, this, and this, and why didn't you take care of that? It could be a temporary board. And then when we have the big one, we all get a chance to elect those people.
Absolutely, absolutely. So,
yes, well, so I just want to make that point, we're putting together that committee
so
to
did you
have
have a
everyone.
question?
We're not appointing.
I saw your hand.
It was answered.
Okay.
All
right.
I have a quick clarified question regarding the interim directors. So let's say we elect 2 interim directors for Craig to appoint them as directors. So what happens in October election? All 5, 6 will be re-elected, or just 4? 4. So will we end up with 4 directors at the end of the day?
Well, 4 elected directors plus 1 that has stayed on.
So we don't know which one of the 2 interim directors will stay.
Bruce, how is
So,
it determined?
can I, hold on guys, so can I ask one quick question?
Yes.
Before, all right. So right now, you said there are 4 seats that are up for election, right? Including yours. So there are total of 5 board members. You are the one on the board right now, but yours is up for election. The other 4 have already resigned, right? So right now, the way I see it, when the election comes, all 5 seats go up.
That's not
for
quite
election.
That's not quite right now.
So that is how I see it, because your seat is coming up for election.
So let me take a crack at this. If I
Go ahead. Well, put it back. Let Bruce answer it, because you guys it looks like there's a conflict here. Go ahead. Go ahead, Bruce. Please.
There is a month ago, the plan was that 2 seats were up for election. We were a staggered term, 2 seats up, 3 not. We now have a situation where we could have the 2 seats that were up are still up, and two of the 4 are vacant. Or 2 of the 3 that were not up would be vacant. Those would be filled. There is always going to be 1 seat that would not normally run in this election cycle as being up for election. It's no different than, in a sense, the staggered term where you've got senators. They don't necessarily get voted. Feinstein and Harris were not on the same ballot. They're a staggered term. Same
But
concept.
but all four of them resigned, so shouldn't all four of them be up for election? They all resigned, right?
Normally, yes, but the problem is Craig has to appoint 2 people to fill 2 seats.
So it's like I have to do
You
that?
have to.
Okay.
He doesn't have a choice. Corporations code requires, for the corporation to function, it has to have at least 3 board members, and the law says the sole remaining director appoints them.
And now you're saying for those
So,
3 seats.
hold on. So, Adam, go ahead, then Mark.
I had a question for Bruce. If Craig appoints the director to the seat that's not up, if Craig appoints a director to the seat that is not up for re-election this cycle, and they simultaneously put in a letter of resignation at a future date, would that be cause for us to
Have all 5 seats open.
run or put in a
Yes.
sorry,
Yes,
ballot?
okay.
Yes.
So what is condition for that?
That's the stipulation.
So, hold on. Mark, did you have some?
Yeah, we had 3 seats open, not 2, 3 seats. Uni was disqualified from being on the board. There was conversation at the last board meeting, and if anybody has minutes to prove me wrong, then let me see those minutes. There was some conversation about her suddenly getting back on the board. However, it didn't happen, and she withdrew her name. She did not accept, she withdrew her name. In fact, she walked out of the room at one point. She withdrew her name, so we have 3 seats were available.
There was
motions passed to elect that seat.
Well, because we stopped it, but so there was 3 seats. What we need to do is what Bruce is suggesting, and we have to be strong, and Craig has said the same thing, and that is, whoever will get appointed next week, not appointed, what you were saying, Willie, is exactly right, which is, and Craig is saying, he doesn't want to do it. He wants us to say, hey, could you please do this, right? And then Craig will he'll do his sword and he'll knight them and they'll so
We'll use a pen.
Right?
We'll use a pen.
A pen. Well, because this pen is mightier than the sword. And so when he does that, whoever comes forward, they have to say to us, and as this lady, young lady said, they have to say, I swear, I promise, I swear, I am not going to hang on. I'm leaving, right? And so then they go. Now, if they're good people like you, Willie, so let's say we say you don't want to do it. So then, and then you say, no, I swear, I'm leaving. So that's fine, but then you should run, right? And if not you, certainly others. Or the 2 of you, right? And Greg, definitely. And the other gentleman over there. And you, Willie, because we need somebody with guns. And so that's what you have. But we have to say, we have to make sure that they say, whoever it is, said, I swear, I pinky swear, whatever the thing is, that they swear that they will not hang in, and then we have 5 people.
But they also have to submit a resignation letter with the date. Based off of this election, I resign my position.
Can we have that letter in the upfront?
Well, a letter of understanding. Supposedly, the law says.
Hold on, guys.
The law says, and Bruce will, the law says that if you have a letter and you have a date for the future when you're going to resign, that you still can change your mind. But there's an employment, an EDD ruling, which I don't know if it takes.
Doesn't apply here.
There's an EDD ruling that says if you go about your business to go hire somebody else, they can't pull back the resignation.
Can you just put something on there that just says, look, my statement is final, then, so you're agreeing that you're not going to rescind on your thing either?
They still can do it, but we have to get them where.
Exactly, as Phil did. Phil resigned in January, I think on the 13th, if I recall correctly. He resigned, submitted his resignation. I resigned. Well, let me finish. Let me finish.
That someone, whoever is going to agree to fill that interim position
to have the kind of integrity to, yeah, I'm going to resign. This is not that difficult. So I don't know why we're dancing and coming back to the same situation.
Yeah.
We need he needs, we can appoint two, guys, and then business can go through November and we get a new elected board member. Complete board.
I guess my question is, you get somebody who volunteers, they do a good job, we like them,
Yeah,
they can quit. Does that make sense to you?
No, but why not give them the option to rerun and be elected for their seat then? It doesn't prohibit them from being elected. They're just saying, as of that day, I resign. If they're re-elected, they have that opportunity to be re-elected. But then let the neighbors decide.
All right, anything else?
I think it's settled.
I think it's settled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next.
So there was one more.
I just want to verify if they do say resign, they can still be up for re-election.
All
Yeah.
the five.
Is that, you want to verify?
Or would that one seat come up later? All the five would be done in this election, or would it be a later election?
Greg, my question is not answered yet about the company that we're hiring to do the election and how much money that we're paying them. So I'm thinking that Bruce will answer that question for me.
Hey folks, I want to run a competitive procurement for a new management company to manage our HOA, including our clubhouse and our finances. I've got 3 bids. One is our incumbent, CID Consortium. One is a company called the Management Trust. If you turn in your packet to this matrix, you can see the ranking by number of homes managed in the Sacramento area. The reason I'm bringing this up right now before people start dropping off is we have oral presentations from these 3 companies starting tomorrow. If you look at this list, these are the management companies, the largest in the Sacramento area. Doesn't mean quality, it just means by size in the Sacramento area. We right now have substantial risk on all of us as homeowners with regard to the current contract and with regard to the management of this clubhouse. I mentioned earlier in the meeting, we need professionals, experienced professionals who know exactly from career experience how to run a facility like this, how to deal with the risks that we have around health and safety, how to run hospitality. We've got proposals from our incumbent and from the other, well, from the top 2 on here, the Management Trust and First Service Residential. You'll remember in the top 21, you told me by an overwhelming majority that you wanted a company that was accredited by the California Association of Community Managers. It's not a requirement that we have to put in. I heard us say that's what we wanted. There's one here. They're going to be coming and giving a presentation, I think, Thursday. And there's one here. They're coming and giving a presentation tomorrow. What I would hope that you have in mind as you're leaving tonight, in addition to all this critical stuff about elections, which is so important, we need to select a new management company.
Yeah, we need to get a
And we do, and that's why I'm suggesting that we
why
do
the presentation tomorrow?
So,
presentation should be
guys,
done with, when we have made time and planned it.
let me say this. I've become aware of a number of concerns and risks that are on all of us as homeowners. In my personal judgment, it is important, and I'm choosing my words carefully, it is important that we get professional career management in this clubhouse immediately, and I have proposals from experienced companies who do this as their existence, who are willing to do whatever it takes to be managing this property and our risks starting 2 weeks from today. They will need some lead time, If we can make the decision and hire one within a few days from today, we can have professional management in here on May 1st, 2 weeks from tonight. I'm telling you that we need this for our risk. There were many questions, you'll recall, from the first 15 minutes of this meeting, asking about risks, asking about safety, asking about maintenance, asking about are we safe, asking about do we need to close this facility. My answer is we need career professional management. Managing this building and this facilities, we need it immediately. We do not have the luxury of a couple of months to do what ordinarily would be a good process. I, as your elected person here, am saying we need professional management in this clubhouse no later than May 1st. We have risk, and I don't want that risk on our shoulders, mine or yours or any of my neighbors.
So Craig, I'm
So
thinking you've read through a contract. Do we have access to that? Do we have access to the same agreement that you read, so we can have the same concerns?
There are a few hands that went up, sorry.
She needs to raise her hand to speak.
Well, he goes two folds, Craig. Number one, Bruce, are you aware of these risks that Craig is implying exist currently with the management here? And there's a follow-up to that. Is it a real risk that if we don't address it the way that he's suggesting, that we're going to have some legal ramifications?
I know of no current legal exposure that is consistent with what I'm hearing, so I'm not sure how to respond to that. I haven't been apprised of that.
So to that then, we are currently under a contract with a management company named Consortium, correct?
Correct.
Would that, what is being suggested right now of reviewing and possibly replacing the management that we currently have, would that be new business taking place with a board that is not in place yet, as doing business without a quorum of the board?
Well, these are just presentations, aren't they?
No,
he wasn't done. That was informational, man.
Yeah, but who is looking at that presentation?
So let him answer.
Not, let's see. If you ask me that question again, I want to be sure I'm answering it properly.
The question is, currently we don't have a board. There's no quorum to be able to do official association business. Right now it's suggested that, and as people have been talking over me, that we just do a review of information regarding other management company, with the intent, I believe, to possibly remove our existing contract with Consortium that just was inked and replace them. Is it possible for that to take place without us having a quorum of the board to actually do that business?
No.
Because this is.
Now you're giving me easy questions. Good.
Yeah,
And
this is a management company that just got started and is doing all this work for us already. And now we're looking to replace.
So that's an excellent point. And
the questions.
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, the corporation has a sole director. That director cannot conduct business on behalf of the corporation. Only a quorum of the board, in at least 3 board members constituting a quorum, can take any corporate action. So no contracts can be entered into, with the caveat of an emergency situation where an executive could step in to do some emergency remediation type of thing. But no traditional contracts can be entered into or terminated absent corporate action by a majority of the board at a quorum.
Okay.
So we have a presentation
conducted, And you're not aware of any risk that we currently have with the management company. So Craig, last question, what are those risks that you do see?
Excellent question. Thank you for asking. Let me speak to that. We have contractual risk, and we have other risk that I am concerned about.
What are those? We want you to answer
This is transparency.
Can we have a copy, can we all have a copy of the contract so we can look through and decide what we think our risks are and what they're not? I mean, if we're all
Absolutely.
liable for the
So
agreement.
Christy's asking a great question, and the answer is the contract is available to all of us right now on the owner portal. If you go to the owner portal and you click on Document Center, you can see that exact contract.
Is this something we can
So,
ask?
hold on. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Number 3. So, 1, 2, 3.
He didn't answer his question. Frank didn't answer his question. If you can't answer,
I would like. Could you say your question really succinctly so I can answer it?
What are the risks?
What are the risks? Folks, we have this recorded. This is going on the internet. Would you like me to tell the rest of the world?
No. Yes.
Yes.
We have to have transparency. You cannot turn off.
I wouldn't want that.
See, what he is saying is if, okay, anyways, go ahead.
Folks, we have risk, and it's my opinion that it would serve our interests to be done with this risk, and the way I'm suggesting that we do it is to come and listen to what this professional company that professionally manages other associations like Gold River, like several in Granite Bay, professionally, that can come in with their knowledgeable career staff. Adam.
These are not.
No, hang on. So is it a follow-up to your question, or?
Well, I want to let Adam have the floor.
Craig, I heard a statement earlier and I'd like more information. You stated earlier that it was important that you have an accredited management company. Does that accreditation, sorry, you mentioned earlier, Craig, that having the accredited management company makes the difference.
I don't think I said it makes a difference, but it isn't.
Then what is it that makes the difference? Because you're essentially calling us unprofessional.
Yeah.
So and not career. I've grown up in this business. We've been at this for over 40 years.
Just been here 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We've been integral part in this industry for decades.
So it sounds like there was an implication that's not.
What is your judgment, or the basis for your judgment, to say that we're not professional or career-driven or career people in this industry? And is it all about the accreditation?
Thank you for the opportunity to clarify. It's not all about the accreditation. The contract that we have, which was entered into by the board majority at the time, and I voted no, is a contract in which it's called in the contract a co-employment model, where the clubhouse employees are co-employed by your firm and by us. That places more risk than I'm ready to accept on the expertise of the association, and not as much expertise as I would like to have placed on the management company. The management company, not us, this is my opinion now, the management company, not us, should be responsible for knowing how to manage the facility, for bringing the expertise, for hiring, evaluating, selecting, firing, promoting, all of those HR functions in such a way that the board of directors and us as homeowners are not taking on the risk and the liability of knowing how to manage this facility, knowing how to deal with health and safety hazards if and when they arise. That's my opinion.
So can you explain maybe the whole co-employee?
Hold on, guys, are you,
Yes.
do you want him to respond? or-
Christy's got a great question.
I asked if he could, I just asked if Adam could explain what the co-employee, what that meant, because to me, co-employees were responsible and you're responsible. If you've got somebody who's supposed to be out there by the pool, say, and my kids are out there, and I look away for 2 seconds, and, I mean, both my kids can swim, but somebody else's can't, and then all of a sudden, we have a situation like we had out there before, are we liable if something like that happened?
And this company, all three companies, including our incumbent.
What about a committee?
And then at the very end, everyone who's heard all those presentations can say what their opinions are. We put a board of directors in place. We get the professional management on May 1.
Guys, did everyone hear what he said? Now I'm trying to keep track of all the hands that went up, and I'm trying to be as fair as possible. So
I have a two-part question. Two-part statement. One is, what Craig is suggesting is the same type of issues that when I came on the committee that I started to look into to address. He's trying to do a protection thing because he's looking out for everybody's interest. That's great, but you don't kick the person that you just hired on, and they have nothing to do with all the problems that we had before. So now you're bringing all this baggage and now you're dumping it. Not good. Okay. So why not allow them to continue doing what they're doing? And you as a board, when you get a board formed in a nuclear form, you discuss that, but you can at least make a presentation so people can hear this, so that, guess what? You don't have to go backwards to readdress all those questions because they were here to listen to them.
And
now,
the fees, and the contract.
And everything. But here's the question, here's my point to a lot of this. Before we were always under NCM and Viera Moore. They ran the show just because we didn't get involved.
Yes.
Now we are going to be involved because we as homeowners are taking possession of. Just like we said before, you got to keep them transparent and you have to keep them to the letter of the law. So what Craig is doing is a protection area, but this is not the form for them. But you don't kick somebody that just came on board and it doesn't have anything to do with that, because when they were addressed, it was addressed by at least 4 of your co-members on the board that they felt that this was a good fit, getting away from NCM. So allow them to do what they need to do, and you guys talk about that as a board with them to say, hey, is this something that we can address? And if they say this is what we can't accommodate, then you look for other avenues.
So is that what everyone, does everyone want to hold them?
Yes. Let's stop kicking people when they volunteer, when we volunteer with good ideas and good intentions and the spirit before we go and hey, we need to cut you. Stop there.
Hold on. Guys, I saw that she has her hand up for a long time. Hold on. You're number 4. 2, 3, 4. Go ahead.
All I was going to say is, can we get back to the board thing and say, like, next Tuesday at 7 o'clock, whoever wants to run for the board or be a candidate, come in with their resume and then talk, and we have everyone up there and they each say what they want to say. We can then meet them and greet them and then say either later that week or the next week, the next following Tuesday, we vote. Can we at least agree on that? We're doing round robin and we still haven't gotten to how are we going to elect the board.
Let's get to the
He
board
wants
thing.
to have 3 people to elect. How are we going to do that? Can we say that we'll do it next Tuesday at 7 o'clock? Whoever wants to run, come in with your resume, come in with a speech. We could all meet you and ask questions.
Absolutely.
Can we get to something cheap? We're going on to all these other things and we still need a board. Let's come up with something and accomplish something tonight.
So is that something doable, Bruce?
Let him answer. Let him answer. Folks, let him answer.
I keep hearing the word elect. In the short term, there's no election. In the corporation's code, Mr. Osborne must appoint.
For him to appoint.
And that decision is his fiduciary duty. It's not just delegable to the membership. It is something that he is statutorily obligated
to make that decision.
But in order for him to get his community's
send out a
input,
survey.
can we do this to help him then appoint those positions?
And absolutely, to the extent that if what you're saying is, should the association announce to the entire membership, we are going to be holding a meeting to fill vacancies on the board to allow the corporation to conduct proper business. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, okay, so.
And I think that's actually one of Mr. Osborne's fundamental concerns that he expressed to me. That wasn't the process that was done in the past. When a vacancy occurred, it was technically noticed, but it was not solicited to 2,000 homes.
Right, right.
See, I think Craig, you put all the agenda together, it's a great thing, but see, there are 36 bullet points to discuss and we have only 3 hours, 16 plus the ABCD, it's total. We need to have as she said, we need to have one specific session only on the election. Bruce explained some English, the legal terms. Still, there are a lot of doubts, not a clarity for the community members who are in this. Let us have one session.
Yes,
just next day, just election.
Just election.
Nothing can be only election.
No open forum?
Open
No,
forum.
that will be open forum for election.
Open forum, appointment, election, whatever the terms you want to bring in, but only election appointment / new board. We need to bring the community together. Just on the day, 3 hours, we cannot solve everything, but still at least we can come up for a framework.
Yes.
Bruce has some ideas, you have some ideas, it's a great idea, but still as a community, there are unanswered questions. Some of the people already left because elections was part of some of the down below that was not answered very well. Let us have one session, specific to elections, next Tuesday, next week, whenever next week available.
Okay.
Possible.
All right. Any other questions?
No, that's all. But
okay.
Can we have that? Can we have a commitment now? She also asked that one.
Okay.
When can we have the?
I think we should. I really think we should. So, by show of hands, who wants that?
Let's
by show of
meet,
hands.
yeah.
Okay, so yes. So, all right. So.
All right, guys, hold on. So, hold on, guys. Can you repeat that?
All right. This lady, I don't know your name, but she had some excellent points about the need to get the you got me. The board filled out with 2 more spots as quickly as possible. I completely agree with her. So I believe the question was, who would like to do that? I saw lots and lots of hands, more than I didn't. Let's get a date. How about
Tuesday, 7 o'clock.
Tuesday,
A week from today, that gives them time to get.
As I recall, that
together.
was not a good date for you. So, by show of hands, who would like that to be conducted with Bruce in attendance? Anyone would like it to be conducted without Bruce in attendance?
What about
I think
Wednesday?
we are clear on what Bruce said, right? So Bruce, do we need you for that meeting?
I heard I saw a lot of hands saying they want it to be done with Bruce in attendance, and I agree.
Okay, that's fine.
So, Wednesday. So Bruce is, hey guys, let's finish this quickly. Bruce is saying he's available next Wednesday evening. So that's.
But is he needed?
Yeah.
I think for moral support.
So folks,
We will be paying for that?
So folks, would you please,
Hold on, guys. So real quick, so I saw that lady was there for a long time. You had a question? Yes.
I was just concerned about the property management part because I think we've gone through 3 in the past few months. So some like Viramo and then somebody else. NCM and then Viramo. Okay. I'm just concerned that did they get information from the last one? How did the last one get turned over, and did you get all our information? Because I told the property management firm and I was given completely different information from what I have in my records. So I'm just wondering, was our information transferred to you guys?
I would love to respond to that question, however, I don't want to distract from what you guys might have as the amendment, whether it's after the meeting.
I mean, we are on a totally
Christy,
different
can we
topic,
take
right?
her question?
Yeah, so maybe we can,
Christy,
Christy, so
can we
maybe
take
we
that
can take that
question?
question.
Information.
So,
Tuesday or Wednesday? Wednesday.
is it Tuesday or Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday?
7 p.m. Wednesday.
7
You're
p.m.
doing a great job.
Wednesday? So on that 7 p.m. Wednesday? Guys.
Okay, so let's agree on Wednesday, 7
Is it for the two appointment?
So can we agree that we're going to have a meeting?
Guys.
Can we agree that we're going to have a meeting next Wednesday? That's a week from tomorrow, right? Did I get that right? So what is that? Can someone tell me the date?
7 p.m.
What was the date?
25th.
25th.
Sorry.
25th.
I can't
Should
be
we have
here.
a show of hands of how many people could be here Tuesday versus
25th.
Wednesday? Because if the attorney could be here Wednesday, but there's only 5 people in attendance, that's less productive than Tuesday without an attorney and 50 people in attendance.
Because he's saying it's
You made suggestions. Are we still having an attorney on that?
something down.
On the Wednesday, yes.
So
So how many of us need the
So
attorney?
how many of us think that we need the attorney on that day?
Well, before you guys vote, is the cost, right?
How much?
Yeah.
And why is he here?
Yeah, these guys is the cost.
We need it. I need an attorney who's already been
So do we need the attorney here?
I don't think we need by law, but I'm seeing a whole lot of hands when I ask who wants it to be done.
They're gonna bring the resume, they're gonna say their speech, and then we will present them.
Right, I thought that the attorney loves us so much that he's not gonna charge us, but
Yeah.
since we know that he's going to charge us, I changed my mind.
We don't need it. Yeah.
Hold on.
What is the hourly rate that we pay Bruce?
$300.
$415.
Divide that by 2,000.
$415 an hour. $415 an hour.
Guys, we're talking about it.
Divide that by 2,000.
Okay. So Tuesday?
Who needs attorney?
Tuesday.
Tuesday? Show of hands,
Tuesday.
That's 21 cents divided by 2,000 homes. That's 21 cents for him to come next Wednesday, if you divide it by 2,000 homes.
That's right. But the point is, we need it. It's not about, the attorney is already
Okay, guys. By show of hands, how many do we need? How many think we need him?
No, you don't need it.
No, don't.
let's take the vote.
So how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
You guys want to put people on the board of directors without the attorney there?
15.
Before you answer the next question, we're all doing it.
So how many think they don't want?
Just interview, right? Just, if it's just
No, we don't have any. If we have any.
So let's just go to vote.
He's just talking about availability.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, lot more.
Yeah, we don't need
So we don't need it. So is it Tuesday? Guys, Tuesday? How many want on Tuesday? Show of hands, please.
One agenda.
Tuesday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I don't care. How many on Wednesday?
It's emergency. I would qualify.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Wednesday.
So Wednesday it is.
7 o'clock, once again, ma'am.
Wednesday 7 o'clock. Wednesday 7 o'clock. We don't need Bruce. Wednesday 7 o'clock. We don't need Bruce.
Hey, folks, so
Guys,
let's confirm
before you go,
let's
real
confirm
quick.
our decision. So,
Real quick, hold
how
on,
many
guys.
people think they can actually show up on Wednesday and they're comfortable doing so without an attorney being there?
We already went through, we all without that. Yeah. No second time. No 450.
Yeah, go ahead.
So 7 p.m. Wednesday, no groups. Guys, the consensus.
Guys, 1 minute. Hold on. The meeting is still in progress. Hold on. So this lady here had an excellent question. Please go ahead.
So next Wednesday night is to meet the candidates that want to be appointed to the board, correct?
That's my
Just to meet, or are we gonna appoint them at that?
No.
Can you do a survey after the meeting?
No, that's
So, I want to make sure people are having their input because this has been a big problem for our association for many years. And it ends up causing a little bit of this in the meetings. This is a good thing because people need to feel that their voices are heard. So, in my view, this is important. This is important as a process. Sounds like we've got a decision or a consensus, which I will call a meeting for next Wednesday, the 25th, did we say?
25th. Correct.
At 7 p.m.
Correct.
So I'm asking, do we want that meeting to be just a candidate forum or a candidate forum and the appointment?
And the appointment.
I'm hearing, how many want it to be just a candidate forum with no appointments? Hands down. How many want actual appointment at that same meeting? Okay, very few. So this will be a candidate forum.
So if it is a candidate forum, you need to open it on 25th, you need to close on 25th.
Yes.
Wait, say that again?
If it is a candidate selection form or if it is a candidate who is applying for that position or whatever it is, you need to open it on 25th and you need to close on that day.
Oh, yeah.
There is no need for you to extend it. So other thing that I would request you to consider is when you are trying to vote, we would see that we want to make sure that people come here and vote.
Well, please help make that happen. I can't make people show.
So if you are very quick in getting all these things to be looked into with all these management company and all those stuff, and you want to involve a lot of people or committee members inside that, make sure that the candidate selection will be done on 25th, whoever can select, or when you are coming to voting, let them come here and vote so that we get an answer quickly.
Folks, please look at this page. Look at their presentations that are coming up tomorrow and 2 on Thursday. I would really like everyone to come listen to these presentations.
I think there are a few hands, so let us go in order.
I just wanted to address just the one last item. You said item 13, pool area construction repairs. Have there been any contracts that have been signed by the board?
Thank you.
We need to be aware of, other than the one with the amendment.
That's an excellent question that he's asking. I've asked for all the contracts. My understanding is no, and I've been assured by Rex DiMartini, the gentleman who was here on that night, that the answer is no.
Sir, hold on, guys.
I just had a question on the process for next week. So people are going to present.
Guys.
Are we going to vote and give the votes to you and you're going to appoint, or are we going to make recommendations to you?
What we're hearing is people wanted a candidate forum, not a candidate forum plus the appointment.
So you'll take what you hear, what we tell you.
Yeah, then you make a decision.
So it's your call, right, Craig?
I would like to make my decision in public so that people just like this can see the visibility to their board of directors.
So let's just do the
I mean, people need to have that level of, they need to know that they can trust the people that they're.
So if that's the case, then let's do the presentation.
I agree, Craig.
Thank you.
But from what I'm hearing in the crowd above the speakers, is that we're still not in agreement on what the process is. So I think there has to be some discussion on that, come to an agreement, hear from the candidates.
Yeah.
We have to make sure we have enough notice time so that those candidates will
So
be.
can we do this? Can we put out another survey in next door, just like the way he did? 2 options. Are we going to select, appoint, and appoint or just do the review?
Just review
Because
and
I
the
think,
process.
I think everybody here is on Nextdoor. Can we just do that? So that he can maybe put it up tomorrow and people go in and vote on it?
I thought we made that decision.
Can you just put the names on Nextdoor that are gonna talk to us next week, put their names in, and then have Nextdoor do a
Okay,
survey
so-
just like this, and say, well, I like Joe Smith and I like Sally, whatever. And then
No, the
people
thing is,
compile
what
that.
happens is if you do that, I mean, some people will get 2 votes because people who are both husband and wife are
Yeah.
there, and
What
the
is the
kids,
process?
everybody, they all vote, and some people who does not even know next to Anatolia, so they don't even get there. So that's not, I don't think that I agree with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I would
So-
say we need to come up with a process, what we want to do the election, and then go based on that.
Can we say, maybe ask this guy with the Harley Davidson jacket to put together the process? He seemed like he had a great idea, and everyone liked it.
Yes.
And when everyone likes it, that's what I like.
Yeah.
So can we ask this gentleman, I mean, you got your hand up, you had a question.
I had a different question.
I have a different question.
All right.
So,
So, we need a process. And I've heard that probably 5 times in the last 5 minutes. We need a process. My question is, what shall we trust? Shall we trust that this process that he said before, which sounded so good to many of us, is a process that we want to follow?
Can you repeat what is the process?
Basically, I'm saying that the community puts together their own election in a fast time frame, because it seems like Bruce is kind of pushing that this needs to be done now. So we put together our own informal election to advise Craig to appoint who we've asked. It's an informal, as an informal thing.
So the way I see that working is kind of post something on Nextdoor to bring maximum people here, right?
Well, my
Just
question
like
is,
how we
why-
have today, and then maybe, the candidates do like a speech or present their, and then people vote.
Well,
right
to add
there.
on to that, if a lot of the people have said that they're not really interested in talking about changing consortium right now, why don't we allocate that time towards the election process rather than listening to people that
Good
we've all
good question,
pretty much
good
said that
question.
we're really not interested in going there yet.
Yes.
So that time frames that we do have for that nobody seems to want, or most don't, why don't we allocate that towards getting the election done? that
So,
everybody
who
does
likes that
want?
idea?
yeah.
Okay? Okay?
Well, okay, so my question to you, Craig, and also the consortium is there, because you're talking about making these changes, what is our contractual agreement and what penalties are we gonna face by doing something to them when they just started?
Andy?
Well, it sounds like people don't want to do that.
Yeah,
No, I understand, but I still wanna know that.
There is a termination,
There is
there is a termination clause. It's, is it 60 days, I think?
It's a 30-day with a 60-day, but there's also penalties attached
Okay,
to that.
sounds like you're close to
We are
that.
not going in that route, right?
I would like to add one point to that. So based on the previous meetings, what I heard is the election of nothing, I'm not saying anything wrong with them, but the election of the consortium company was not done by taking a bid of different companies and all.
Right.
And the current process that Craig is saying is just starting. We are not saying that we are changing. It's only listening to, including them. We are just listening to the 3 different views.
Who is listening
And
to
then-
right now? There's no.
then in that case, if the community decides it's better to go with another company, then is when we are changing. We are not talking about changing anything. This is just an option to listen to different companies rather than just going with one.
We don't have
company.
a board that can vote for it, so why figure that out first before we figure out the board? It's kind of goes around.
Hold on. So you had, hold on.
Get the board first.
Guys.
Get the board first,
So
guys.
you had a question though?
We just go in
Yeah, so
around.
my question was, because I don't know if I'll ever see him again, Craig stated that he wanted to switch management companies because he felt like.
No, he didn't say that.
Or, hold on.
I want
You felt like there was more liability in
more
doing
risk.
the.
More risk.
The co-owner
Yes.
or
Co-employed. Co-employed. Right.
There you go. In my mind, that would be a good thing for us to be able to have some say then in who we do have here. My question, lawyer, is there more exposure to us having that type of agreement?
I believe the current contractual arrangement is both legal, valid, and does not create any additional risk.
So there's no additional risk?
That I have identified.
I don't think there's any downside to listening to the two other companies in
Yeah,
your company.
exactly.
Deciding what we think, we give it to the new board members, the three of them, and they can make the decision.
No, so we are not saying we're not gonna. I think that was one of the concerns. We are saying can we wait?
Well, I wouldn't wait. It's already scheduled. There's nothing wrong with it.
Cannot
What's
be
the
made
downside to
just
listening?
with a Greg. The board has to appoint to get that contractual.
Okay, but what we were not doing is, Greg is trying to protect everybody. In the last meeting, we were asking them, the board of directors, to be transparent. And that's what he's trying to do. He's not saying he's gonna fire them. He's saying, I'm gonna give you guys what you've been asking for, which is alternatives.
So
there's nothing wrong with that.
Can I, what I understood, can I lay it down step by step? So what we are saying is next week on Wednesday,
7 p.m.
7 p.m., the first thing is candidates are going to come here, present themselves, okay?
Board candidates we're talking about.
Board candidates, they are going to present themselves, and we are going to appoint,
Recommend.
select whatever, swear them in, like 2 of them.
No,
right?
not that day.
Not that day, not that day. But the second step is we are going to swear them in. I'm not very clear as to how that is going to happen. You know, probably we are all going to vote. It is an appointment, but with the consent of everyone.
An official appointment.
Parallelly, there is going to be a meeting, similar meeting like this, where those companies are going to come and present.
Yeah.
And we are going to probably vote on that by show of hands or whatever. And the elected board members or appointed board members are going to go with whatever that process.
Yeah,
what you have chosen.
Exactly.
Yes.
Is that a fair?
Yes. You got it. Good night.
One minute. She had her hand up.
Okay, going back to Mr. Inman. Hi, sorry. Just based on the question that he had asked you, whether or not that there were additional risks that did you see any additional risks with what the question was previously? And you indicated that you didn't see anything. My question to you though is, did Craig actually tell you what it was that he found?
I haven't had that conversation yet with Bruce,
so because, and I mean,
Honestly,
I'm with
I
you,
have
so
not.
I don't want you to disclose what you have, you know, because of the liability, and I agree that we should choose some type of management for the HOA, but my question is, did you discuss all that stuff with him, if he answered the question that was prior to you actually accepting?
I've been learning
right?
every day.
Okay,
And
so there are liabilities here that you're not aware of that have been disclosed to a certain level, but he didn't disclose it to you.
well,
Are we under?
go ahead and ask your question, but
So, did you have a conversation regarding potential risk on the premises prior to him?
To the extent that might have been an attorney-client communication, I can't speak to it, but I am not aware of any situation. I have no facts in front of me to suggest that there is any urgency with respect to risk or liability to the association.
Well, when you say like attorney-client privilege, I'm not asking, you know, you and Craig, I'm talking about the actual premises here, this clubhouse. Did he specifically talk to you about anything on the premises that could?
The moment he talks to me in the capacity as a board member to the corporation's council, that potentially is attorney-client privilege. So that's where I'm not trying to play games, I just.
No, I understand, I know what you're saying.
Okay, so we need, real quick, so you, then you, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, 25th, these 3 companies are going to come and present. First, we don't know whether we had to confirm with them, or they are available on 25th. No.
They are. They picked those slots.
25th.
They, we were pointing to the page.
I just want to go on record to say that there's nobody.
Guys, okay, let's listen. Let's listen. Let's listen.
There's nobody who spent more time with this association and this community than Craig.
Guys.
And if he says there's risks out there, there's risks there, and when he says it's not right to put it on a movie so people can watch it, he's right. So please just, it's my opinion.
It's not recording anymore,
That's what the
right?
last board
Okay.
said.
It's not recording anymore, can we share those?
Yeah, turn off the recorders.
Isn't it off?
No, respect.
So, is there any more questions, guys?
Who's presenting from the?
So if we're going to have this meeting on Wednesday of next week, we need someone to facilitate the meeting, and I think it should not be me. Can someone volunteer to set up the process, make the announcements, explain what it is, so that when people say, what's this meeting? Can someone please take the volunteer role to explain that to everyone? I'll show up.
What?
I would gladly do that.
What?
Since I write.
Yes.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark.
So who are the management companies that will be presenting? It's right here.
So it is on there. Yes.
What's the top three?
Okay, so is it correct from the association, is it possible to send out a small letter to all the homeowners saying there will be a meeting and some small purpose, just sort of make sure next door is not something I think everyone is there, so everyone knows. Means I can volunteer to go 2,000 houses, but probably I cannot cover 2,000 houses. Okay, so is there a way for association to send a small letter on the mail saying, hey, there will be this meeting on this day?
I think that's an excellent idea, and
I just want to make sure everyone, we don't want to repeat past. No one should complain, say, hey, we did not know for election. Even if they are not there, they have right to know.
So he makes an excellent point. I'm going to ask Mark, could you put together that, should we call it announcement or invitation or whatever? And then could you provide that to me? I'll provide it to Adam, and could we ask that be sent out to everyone in the community for next Wednesday?
And in next door we can...
Special mailing.
You can just put it on the next door.
I can have that.
Hey folks, please read the back pages. Folks, please.
Put it on the website.
Please read the back 2 pages about the things that you should think about if you're considering joining the board. I hope many of the people in this room consider joining the board. The fact that you're here tonight, the fact that you're here whatever time it is right now, speaks a lot to your community mindedness. I would love it if we get a bunch of candidates from this room right now. Please have a look. Think if this is something that you would like to do to volunteer for your community. It is hard, it is tough, it's got challenges to it, but I hope you consider it.
If next Wednesday is not the election, why do you not spend money and send all that to all the
So that is one thing I was not very clear. Because when the candidates come here and they present themselves, then what happens?
Well, Mark's going to design it.
Okay.
I would say post it on the HOA website.
We have already taken so much time, so the people are not there anymore, although you have a new director. So what I would say is, let us come up with a process, present it on Wednesday, and if everybody is okay with that process, then we will call for the candidate next following week.
I think what I'm hearing people is they want to have the candidate forum on the Wednesday.
How are you going to do it without a proper process defined?
Let this guy explain it to you, because I think he's got a good idea.
I don't think it's hard. Voting is not, school.
I don't know your names. All right, folks. So
what I'm hearing is you're going to put the process in place, and are you going to send that process out to everyone?
So
no, you know what? I'm okay with somebody putting the process, but you put the process in front of people. People can have their opinion about the process. They might not agree with that. What I'm trying to tell is, bring it here, discuss it among the people, then let us come to a common conclusion. We vote on that process, and then we can go ahead from there.
Get there, can't just hang out, create processes.
all right, seems like we're agreed. There's going to be a meeting next Wednesday. Let's adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Do we have instead of just the historic, they're not an email list of the homeowners?
And we use the badge thing to part of the election. Like, as long as you badge, your address comes up, right? There's something hard to mark off to validate the address. You know what I mean? Because there's pictures of you and stuff anyway, so.